Welcome, everyone, to the very first deep dive. I am so excited to kick off this brand new podcast series. It's called Creative Compass, where art meets story. And get this, we'll be basing this entire series on the work of one incredibly talented individual.
Oh, wow. I am definitely intrigued already. Tell me more.
And for our pilot episode, we're going to set our sights on the work of Jean-Dominique Lavoix-Carli.
I like it.
So his website's going to be our home base for this whole series.
Oh, yeah.
Each episode, we're going to deep dive into new works from all the different categories that we find there.
Oh, nice.
It'll be like unfolding a map of his creative world.
I like it.
So let's start with the welcome to your story page.
Okay.
Lavoix-Carli makes a pretty bold statement right off the bat.
Okay.
He says, if you are here right now, it is because of a story. Everything is nothing but stories. That's quite a way to grab your attention.
Yeah, it is.
What do you think he's getting at with that?
I think it's such a powerful way to frame his work.
Yeah.
You know, it's like he's saying that everyone has a story and he's here to kind of help them tell it through art.
Yeah.
That idea that everything is nothing but stories really sets the stage for exploring this incredible range of skills he brings to the table.
Okay, so let's talk about those skills.
Okay.
Because honestly, the sheer variety of categories on his site is
pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing. We've got art direction, illustration, typography, even world design and gamification.
Yeah.
It's like he's a one-man creative army.
He is.
I know.
Yeah.
So what's the common thread running through all of these?
Well, I think the common thread is storytelling, whether it's a logo or a comic book or an entire fictional world, you know?
Right.
Lavoix-Carli is using his creative talents to craft experiences that engage and resonate with an audience.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
So let's dive into a few of these categories, starting with something that really caught my eye.
Okay.
Under the art direction section.
All right.
Well, he opens with a powerful statement. The graphic act must be understood regardless of the cultural or social context in which it is expressed and in which it must deliver its message.
Wow, that's fascinating. So he's saying that good art direction transcends language barriers. It speaks a universal visual language.
That's exactly how I interpret it. It makes me think about logo signage. Even film and television's strong art direction ensures that the message is clear and engaging, regardless of the audience's background.
It's about communicating on a visual level.
Exactly. And he takes it even further in his one sentence, one image section. He says, each culture has its exclusive language, but images are inclusive and common to all. It's like he's found a way to distill complex ideas into impactful visuals that can bridge cultural divides.
I love that. It's about tapping into that primal emotional connection we have with images, something that goes beyond words.
Okay, so as you look at his work, what stands out to you in terms of his art direction?
Well, his use of color is masterful. It's bold, intentional, and always evokes a specific mood or emotion, and he's a master of composition. The way he arranges elements within a frame creates a sense of balance, movement, visual intrigue.
It's no wonder his clients trust him to communicate their stories visually.
And that's what sets great art direction apart. It's not just about aesthetics, it's about creating an emotional connection with the viewer. I mean, that's such a key point.
Yes.
He's worked with such a diverse range of clients, right? You've got big corporations, government agencies.
Right.
And what's striking is his ability to take complex topics and distill them into these really powerful visuals that anyone can understand. You know, it's like he's finding the essence of an idea and translating it into this language that transcends words.
I love that. Finding the essence of an idea. Yeah. That's a skill in itself,
it
right?
It really is.
Okay.
Okay. Next up, I was totally captivated by one story in a single picture.
Okay.
In the illustration section.
Yeah.
He challenges that old saying, don't judge a book by its cover, arguing that actually we always do.
We do.
At least initially,
Yeah. What do you think about that?
I mean, we absolutely do.
Yeah.
We're visual creatures and first impressions really matter.
Yep.
And Lavoix-Carli understands that and uses it to his advantage.
Yeah.
You know, he knows that a strong visual can grab your attention and make you want to know more.
Absolutely.
So he's essentially saying, yes, judge the cover, but I'm going to make sure it's a cover worth judging.
I love that. That's such a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
He covers so much ground here.
Yeah.
From the different styles he's mastered
Yes.
to the importance of collaboration with clients.
It's so important.
So what stood out to you in this section?
Well, he really emphasizes his versatility.
Which is really impressive.
It is.
He's comfortable working in styles ranging from,
Yeah.
heroic fantasy and science fiction to real life and even children's illustrations.
He's like a creative Swiss Army knife.
He is.
I know.
It's
Then I appreciate how he walks us through his process. He talks about using sketches and mock-ups to get feedback from clients early on, which shows a real commitment to collaboration and making sure everyone is on the same page.
That's so important.
It is.
Yeah. It's a great example of his professionalism, I think.
Absolutely.
He understands that it's not just about his artistic vision.
Right.
It's about working together with the client to achieve their goals.
It strikes me that collaboration, communication, and versatility are themes that keep coming up in his work.
Yeah.
He's not just an artist.
Right.
He's a problem solver.
Yeah. A communicator and a true partner in the creative process.
Exactly. It's this unique blend of skills and perspective that makes his work so compelling, I think. A well-crafted illustration can grab our attention immediately.
Right. It can evoke an emotion. Tell us a story before we've even read a single word.
Like with children's books, the illustrations are just as important as the text.
Exactly. Or even think about movie posters. A single image can convey the entire tone and genre of a film.
It's incredible how much power a single image can hold.
And Lavoix-Carli emphasizes that stylistic versatility is key for any illustrator. He says, I have over 20 years of experience in illustration. I was led to develop almost all styles and a very large number of techniques.
That's amazing. So he's not limited to just one style. He can adapt to the needs of any project.
Exactly. It's like having a whole toolbox of visual languages at your disposal.
Yeah.
So let's shift gears a bit and talk about what is world design.
Okay.
Like under world design in comics. This one really piqued my curiosity.
It's a fascinating area, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Lavoix-Carli approaches it with such depth. He talks about creating a believable universe at all scales.
Wow.
And considering not just the visuals, but the history, the culture, the rules, everything that makes a world feel real and lived in.
So it's not just about pretty scenery, it's about building a foundation for stories to unfold.
It really is.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like he's building a stage for the story, but that stage has its own backstory and secrets waiting to be discovered.
Exactly.
And speaking of stories, he also talks about the relationship between world design and comics.
Oh, yeah.
So what's he saying there?
Well, he sees comics as this powerful tool for visual storytelling.
Okay.
And he believes that a lot of the techniques used in comics can be applied to other media, like video games, even cinema. He even talks about how he uses comics to explore different aspects of world design, like character development and environmental storytelling.
It's all connected.
It is.
So before we get too lost in these fictional worlds, I want to talk a bit about the man behind the curtain.
Okay.
Jean-Dominique Lavoix-Carli himself.
All right.
On his About Me page. We learn that he's a senior art director.
Wow.
A graduate of Penningen in Paris.
Okay.
With over 20 years of experience in the field.
That's incredible.
That's a serious creative pedigree.
It is.
Yeah.
And it shows in the quality and diversity of his work.
Yeah.
You know, he's not just an artist. He's an author, a scenarist, a typographer.
Wow.
The list goes on.
Yeah.
And this multifaceted skill set allows him to approach projects from multiple angles, ensuring a really cohesive and impactful final product.
Yeah.
He even talks about the importance of understanding the client's vision and translating that vision into a tangible reality.
That's huge.
It is.
So speaking of clients,
the
They Trusted Me section on his site name drops some pretty impressive names.
Oh, yeah.
Ernst & Young, 𝗧𝗵𝗲, and even branches of the French military.
Wow, that's a pretty diverse group.
That is a pretty diverse group.
Yeah.
What do you think that says about him?
Well, I think it speaks to his ability to adapt his style and approach to meet the needs of such a wide range of clients, whether it's creating a compelling visual report for a corporate giant, or designing a game for a military training program.
Wow.
He brings that same level of passion and expertise to every project.
I love that.
It's like he's a creative chameleon, able to blend into any environment and deliver exactly what's needed.
I love that analogy, a creative chameleon. Okay, so we've got this incredibly talented and versatile artist.
Yeah.
With a diverse clientele.
Right. I mean, it's fascinating to see how he weaves together, artistic skill and technical expertise with a deep understanding of storytelling to create such impactful work. He's not just creating art, he's shaping experiences and influencing how we perceive the world around us.
Well said. This has been an amazing glimpse into Jean-Dominique Lavoix-Carli's world.
It really has.
But it's just the beginning.
That's right.
This is only part 1 of our deep dive.
Okay.
There's so much more to uncover.
Can't wait.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll delve even deeper into specific categories on his website.
Oh, cool.
And explore his unique approach to art direction, illustration, world design, and more.
I'm excited.
I am too.
Welcome back to Creative Compass, where art meets story. We're diving right back into that creative world of Jean-Dominique Lavoix-Carli.
I know, it's amazing how much we uncovered in just the first part.
Yeah.
His website is like a treasure trove.
He really is,
of creative insights.
Yeah. One of the things that struck me is just how deeply he thinks about each of his areas of expertise. You know, it's not just a list of services.
Yeah.
It's a reflection, I think, of his creative philosophy.
In the last part,
yeah,
we touched on world design. And I'm like eager to hear more about that. It's always fascinated me.
Yeah.
But I honestly have no idea where I'd even begin creating an entire world.
It's a big undertaking, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But on his world design and comics page, Lavoix-Carli actually breaks it down in a way that makes it seem approachable. You know, he talks about world design as stemming from narrative design.
Okay.
But focusing on the context, not just the plot.
Okay.
So you're not just thinking about what happens in the story, but about the environment, the history, the culture, all those elements that make a world feel believable.
It's like he's saying that the world itself is a character in the story.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's not just for these fantasy worlds, right?
No, not at all.
He mentions that it can be applied to things like branding and even strategic foresight.
Absolutely.
So what do you think?
I mean, that's what's so fascinating about this whole concept. You know, it's about creating a framework for understanding these complex systems, whether you're building a fictional universe or analyzing real-world challenges.
You're not just creating a world, you're creating a way of thinking about the world.
Exactly.
That's pretty powerful.
It is.
He also talks about using comics as a tool.
Yeah, that's a great point.
For world design.
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
Well, what I love about that is how he sees comics as this bridge, almost, you know, between world design and other forms of media. He talks about how the visual storytelling techniques used in comics can be applied to video games, branding, even cinema.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Because comics have to convey a lot of information in a limited space.
Right, exactly.
So they have to be very deliberate about their visuals and pacing.
Yeah.
So I can see how those skills would be valuable in other areas.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now let's move on to his narrative design and scenario section. This is where he gets into the structure of storytelling itself.
I'm all ears.
He starts by emphasizing the importance of coherence and anticipation. You know, making sure the story flows logically and keeps the audience engaged.
Makes sense.
And then he asks this really thought-provoking question, why do you need storytelling?
Okay. I'm curious to hear his answer.
He writes, regarding storytelling and copywriting, their practice allows a product, a brand, a franchise, a concept to sincerely incarnate and develop itself beyond the basic frame of reference.
So he's saying that stories breathe life into things. They give them meaning and depth.
Exactly. It's about crafting an experience, a feeling, a connection.
That's why his work resonates so strongly with people. He's not just selling a product, he's inviting you into a story.
Now, within this section, he also introduces a concept called red teaming. Have you ever heard of that?
I have, but I'd love to hear his take on it.
Well, he writes, the concept of red team was developed by the U.S. Army in 2003 to anticipate future surprise attacks following the attacks of 9/11. To be on the red team is to think like the enemy. It means adopting your adversary's point of view, objectives, culture, way of thinking, ideology, beliefs, fears, etc.
So it's about trying to understand your opponent's perspective as deeply as possible.
And not just in a military context.
Right. It could apply to business negotiations, relationships, anything where understanding the other side is crucial.
Exactly. It's about challenging your own assumptions and being open to new ways of thinking.
Okay.
So we've got world design.
Right.
We've got comics. We've got strategic foresight. All these fascinating ideas kind of swirling around.
Yeah.
But let's bring it back to art for a sec.
Okay.
His art direction section is like a masterclass.
It is.
In visual communication.
It is.
So what stood out to you there?
Well, he really dives deep into what art direction really is, why it matters, the power of a single image.
Right.
He even talks about the importance of understanding the cultural and social context when creating a visual.
Right.
You know, it's not just about making things look pretty. It's about communicating effectively and making sure that message resonates with the intended audience.
It's about intentionality.
It is, yeah.
Every choice, every color,
Uh-huh.
every element is there for a reason.
Yes.
He's not just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Exactly.
And I love how he talks about images being a universal language. We all know that a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Right.
But he really breaks down why that is.
He does.
What do you think about that?
It's so true.
Yeah.
You know, a powerful image can transcend language barriers and cultural differences, which is so important in our increasingly globalized world.
Yeah.
And Lavoix-Carli has this amazing ability to capture the essence of an idea, right? And translate it into a visual that anyone can understand.
Okay.
Okay.
So we've covered art direction, illustration, world design, but we've only scratched the surface.
I know, right?
He has so much more to offer.
So much more.
With his work on typography, game design, narrative design, and even consulting.
It's a bit overwhelming.
It is, but in a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's inspiring to see someone who is so passionate about their craft and constantly pushing the boundaries of creativity. Yeah. It's like he's saying creativity has no limits.
Right.
Let's explore them together.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this deep dive.
Yeah.
We're not just learning about an artist. Right. We're exploring a whole philosophy of creativity.
Yeah.
Problem solving.
And strategic thinking.
Yeah. He's giving us a toolkit almost for navigating the world with more intention and imagination.
I'm ready to see what else is in that toolkit.
Me too.
Stay with us for Part 3 of our deep dive into the world of Jean-Dominique Lavoix-Carli.
Okay.
Where we'll continue to explore his fascinating portfolio and delve even deeper into the ideas that drive his creative process.
Welcome back to Creative Compass. We're on the final leg of our journey into the work of Jean-Dominique Lavoix-Carli.
It's been an incredible deep dive so far. We've seen how he approaches art direction, illustration, and world design. Let's shift gears and talk about game design and gamification.
I'm ready to level up. What's his philosophy on games?
Well, he starts by asking, what if you would need a good game? And then he answers with, all existing systems can be transformed and adapted into games.
Wow. So he's suggesting that the principles of game design can be applied to any aspect of life.
Exactly. Work learning, problem solving, you name it.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
And he breaks down game design into 3 essential axes: game mechanics, gameplay, and player experience.
Okay, so the rules, the actual playing, and the overall feeling you take away.
You got it. He also talks about level design, which I think is applicable to so much more than just video games. Yeah. He says level design is a fundamental discipline that is part of game design and contributes to gameplay. It is practiced in video games, but can also extend to certain board games.
So it's about creating a sense of flow and progression.
Exactly. A balance between challenge and reward. And an overall experience that keeps people engaged.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this connects to things beyond just gaming.
Me too. It just seems like such a natural extension of his storytelling abilities.
It is. On his website, Lavoix-Carli talks about how any system can be turned into a game. And how gamification can be this amazing tool to engage people and create truly immersive experiences.
So it's more than just building fun games.
Right. It's about understanding those systems that make them work and then using those principles in other fields, like education or marketing.
Oh, interesting. So he's using the power of game design to solve problems and get people excited about learning.
Exactly. Level design, which is all about creating engaging and challenging experiences within the game world.
He's thinking about every detail, from the big picture to the individual challenges that keep players hooked. It all connects back to his skills in world design and narrative design too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. He's creating these immersive worlds and stories and then using game design to bring them to life in a truly interactive way.
Okay, we've talked visuals, worlds, games. What about words?
Oh, yeah. Typography. This should be interesting. How does he tie that into storytelling?
Well, he opens with a very bold statement. Text is information.
True enough.
And he traces the evolution of communication from cave paintings to hieroglyphs to the printed word. He argues that there's a form of sacredness in the word.
Interesting. So he's highlighting the power and importance of language.
Exactly. And then he gets to the heart of typography itself. He says typography is emotion.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Elaborate on that.
He writes, emotion generated by a typeface can be subtle or impactful, but in any case, it must be consistent with itself. All the glyphs that make up a typeface must be affiliated. And yet each glyph must also have its own personality, exactly like a human family.
Wow, I love that analogy. So different typefaces evoke different emotions, just like different people have different personalities.
Exactly. And he poses a crucial question. Do you convey the right message? He's challenging us to be mindful of the typography we use, because it plays a key role in how our message is received.
It's about choosing the right typeface to enhance the meaning and impact of your word.
I never thought about fonts as having so much depth.
It's something we often overlook. But typography is a powerful tool for communication. Lavoix-Carli talks about how the choice of typeface can even evoke emotion and impact how a message is perceived.
That's such a creative way to think about it. He's not just picking fonts. He's carefully selecting each one to create a cohesive and expressive visual experience. Okay, so we've covered art direction, illustration, narrative design, world design, game design, and even typography. It's amazing how he weaves all these seemingly disparate disciplines together into a cohesive approach to storytelling.
He's a true Renaissance man, and I'm really starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Me too. It reinforces how all these areas of expertise, storytelling, visual communication, game design, they all come together in his work.
Exactly. It's what makes him such a unique creative force. You know, he's able to draw inspiration from all these different fields and weave it all together into something truly special.
With all his skills and experience, what led him to offer consulting services? I'm curious.
I'm curious to see how his consulting approach aligns with his philosophy of storytelling.
Well, he starts with a very direct question. Who are you? It's like he's cutting through all the noise and getting straight to the heart of the matter.
So before you can tell your story, you need to know who you are.
Exactly. And he pushes back against one-size-fits-all solutions. He says that most people believe that solutions that work for others work for them. They focus on the success of the outcome of such or such strategy, branding, or storytelling, but not on its origin and its context.
He's advocating for a more personalized approach, one that takes into account each individual's unique circumstances.
And then he outlines his process for helping clients discover their true needs. He asks them a series of questions like, are you asking the right questions? Are you limiting your perception filter? What is the origin of your desire for change? Are you the victim of a cognitive bias? Are you consistent with yourself?
It's about challenging assumptions and digging deep to understand the root of the issue.
Exactly. It's a process of self-discovery. He's encouraging a willingness to be honest with yourself and to embrace new perspectives.
I love that approach.
Now, in a section titled, Imagination is Imagine Action, he beautifully encapsulates his philosophy. He says, the consulting that I practice allows me to stem from the core of several disciplines that I master, and all of them have one thing in common, imagination. And imagination is to imagine action, that is, designing an abstract possibility within a given framework that will be transformed into concrete action.
Wow, that's beautiful. So he's saying that imagination is not just a passive activity, it's a powerful force for creating change.
Exactly. It's about envisioning new possibilities and then taking action to make them a reality.
I'm really resonating with his philosophy.
Me too.
Well, on his site, he emphasizes the importance of understanding a client's unique needs and context. He challenges the idea of one-size-fits-all solutions and encourages clients to ask themselves tough questions about their goals and potential biases.
So it's more than just technical expertise. He's helping people find clarity and solutions that truly align with their vision.
Exactly. It's about empowering clients to take ownership of their creative ideas.
Okay, so as we wrap up our exploration of his consulting section, what are your initial takeaways?
I'm really struck by his emphasis on authenticity. You know, finding your own unique voice and using it to tell a story that is both meaningful and impactful.
I love that. It's about embracing our individuality and recognizing that we all have something valuable to contribute.
It's about making a difference through storytelling.
Well said. This deep dive has been incredible. We've explored the work of a talented artist and gained insights into a whole philosophy of creativity and problem solving.
It's a reminder that creativity isn't limited to art. You know, it's a valuable skill for any challenge, and Jean-Dominique Lavoix-Carli is a perfect example of that. It's amazing to see how he's able to adapt his style to meet the needs of each client while still maintaining his own unique visual identity.
It's like he's fluent in multiple visual languages.
And every project seems infused with his passion for storytelling.
I agree. Now let's explore Lavoix-Carli's fascination with the intersection of art and science.
I'm curious to see how he bridges those two worlds.
Well, he sees art and science as complementary ways of understanding the world, both driven by curiosity, creativity, a desire to explore the unknown.
That's a beautiful way to look at it.
He believes that artists and scientists can learn from each other.
I agree. It's a holistic approach to knowledge.
And he's not just talking about it. He's collaborated with scientists on projects that combine art and science in really innovative ways.
That's exciting to hear.
Do you see any potential connections between art and science in your own work?
Definitely. I'm thinking about how I can incorporate scientific concepts and data into my art. And I'm also intrigued by the idea of using art to communicate complex scientific ideas to a wider audience.
I think there's so much potential there. Talk about Lavoix-Carli's exploration of cutting-edge technology and its impact on storytelling. He's particularly fascinated by the potential of virtual reality and augmented reality to create immersive and interactive storytelling experiences.
I can see how those technologies could be incredibly powerful for storytelling.
And he sees applications beyond just entertainment. He thinks VR and AR could revolutionize everything from education and healthcare to architecture and design.
Wow, those are some bold predictions.
And he's not just talking about it. He's experimenting with these ideas himself.
That's inspiring.
What are your thoughts on the potential of these technologies? Do you see them as tools that could enhance your own creative process?
Absolutely. I think VR has the potential to create truly immersive experiences that could transport people to other worlds. And AR could bridge the gap between the physical and digital worlds in really interesting ways.
The possibilities are mind-boggling.
I agree. And I think Lavoix-Carli is at the forefront of this creative revolution.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground with Lavoix-Carli's background in philosophy. Now I want to shift gears and talk about something that's really fascinating to me. His deep understanding of cultural narratives and how they shape our perception of the world.
Oh, that's a rich topic. I'm interested to hear his take on it.
Me too. He has this incredible ability to dissect the stories we tell ourselves, the narratives that inform our understanding of history, society, even our own identities.
It's about understanding the power of those narratives and how they influence our beliefs and actions.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is that he's not afraid to challenge those narratives,
to
point out their limitations, to offer alternative perspectives.
He's encouraging us to think critically and question the stories we've been told.
And that's so important in today's world, where we're constantly bombarded with information.
Yeah.
It's more important than ever to be able to discern fact from fiction.
We need to be aware of the biases that might be shaping the stories we're consuming.
Exactly. Now, as we're exploring his website, I'm struck by how much thought he's put into making it accessible and user-friendly. The navigation is clear, the language is concise, he provides helpful explanations for any technical terms he uses.
It's clear that he wants everyone to be able to understand and appreciate his work.
He's democratizing creativity, inviting everyone to participate in the conversation.
I love that.
Now, before we move on, I want to highlight something he said in his welcome message that really resonated with me. He wrote, and I'm paraphrasing here, that the only way to get people to believe in your story is to believe in it yourself. What are your thoughts on that?
That's so true. Authenticity is everything. If you don't believe in your story, it will show.
And that applies to any story you're trying to tell, whether it's a personal narrative, a brand message, or even a fictional world you're creating.
It's about finding that spark of truth that makes the story resonate.
And that's what I find so compelling about Lavoix-Carli's work. He's not just creating beautiful images. He's crafting stories that are infused with his own passion and his own unique perspective.
And that's what draws you in.
Okay, before we move on, I want to connect this back to you personally. Does anything we've discussed so far spark any ideas for you? Any aha moments you want to share?
Definitely. I'm starting to think about how I can incorporate some of his techniques into my own work, particularly his use of symbolism and his emphasis on creating a cohesive visual language.
That's fantastic. What's your biggest takeaway from all of this?
For me, it's the reminder that creativity thrives on connection, connecting different ideas, different mediums, different ways of thinking. That's where the magic happens. And Lavoix-Carli embodies that beautifully. He's not just an artist, he's a storyteller, a world builder, a game designer, a consultant, a true creative force.
Beautifully said. And remember, this is just the beginning of our Creative Compass journey. About how to approach the world with curiosity, creativity, and a willingness to challenge the status quo.
It's a powerful message.
He's showing us that storytelling is for everyone. It's how we make sense of the world, connect with others, and leave our mark.
And he's reminding us that we all have a story to tell.
Whether you're a CEO, a teacher, an artist, everyone has a story.
And the world needs to hear those stories.
Now, before we go, be sure to check out Lavoix-Carli's website. It's an incredible resource for anyone interested in art storytelling and creativity in general.
It's a treasure trove of inspiration.
And join us next time as we delve deeper into the world of visual storytelling.
We'll be exploring how you can use art design and technology to craft narratives that captivate, inspire, and make a lasting impact.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.